movie I really love the most is The Notebook.
He got game.
27 Dresses. It's actually, it's a good kind of love story, and it's good entertainment.
8 Mile.
My favorite movies are Wayne's World.
Rush Hour 2.
My favorite movie is Stepmom because it's a good movie, but then it's sad at the end.
A Walk to Remember.
A lot of Tyler Perry movies move me, like Why Did I Get Married? Because they always deal with being low, but you still make your way back up.
Boys in the Hood.
Night at the Roxbury is a great movie.
Billy Madison.
My favorite movies would be the Lord of the Rings movies. I like the story, I like the special effects. I really related to some of the characters. They were on a journey, and I am kind of on a big quest. Only my quest is life itself.
Superbad. It's really funny.
Big Mama's House.
Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. That was a pretty big movie I liked.
American Gangster.
Grease with John Travolta. Everyone tells me I look like John Travolta. That's my favorite movie.
And 300. That made me feel like a man.
Yes, I love you.
Beat Street is an old movie. It's about hip hop, graffiti. I'm a graffiti artist.
Indiana Jones, the past Indiana Jones, action and comedy movies.
The Notebook. I love The Notebook. That makes me cry. Beautiful love story.
Juno? Can you tell me about that?
It's the girl gets pregnant by her best friend and has to deal with whether she wants to keep the baby. And it's all about her dealing with things that are too mature for her.
Now, why does that move you? Why is that your favorite movie?
Well, it's funny, first of all, because she's a really dry character. My sister's friend just had a baby, and she's 18, and it kind of reminded me of that and helped me realize what she's going through right now and the decisions that she has to make even though she's only 18.
Movies can be a captivating entertainment.
In the course of a couple hours, we can become invested in the meaning, storyline, and future of the characters.
Movies can be enormously influential because the artistry, imagery, narrative, and acting all work together to make a beautiful experience that can be hard to forget.
We become part of someone else's story, which can change us.
It can change what we believe and who we are.
Movies that move you. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, everyone. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Realfaith TV.
The teens on the street shared with us their favorite movies.
We'll talk with them a little later in the show, as well as meet our spotlight guest, Jordan.
But first, let's meet our studio guests and see what their favorite movies are.
Okay, they are John, Daniela, Ijama, Matt, Vince, and Kira.
So what are some of your favorite movies?
I know for me, I have a lot of favorites. I can't really pick out one, but there's so many good movies out there, like Lord of the Rings, National Treasure, Cinderella Story. Just there's so many good movies out there and I like them all. So I don't have an actual favorite.
Unlike you, I know my favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park. I love the movie. There's no real particular reason why. I guess, wow, they created a dinosaur. I just found that was really cool.
Legally Blonde, I would have to say. Yeah, okay, everyone laugh now. But just because she's can do anything, she just put her mind to it and she did it. So I want to be Elle Woods.
Go Elle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amen.
For Elle.
I love coming of age movies like Dead Poet Society, Stand By Me, and Outsiders. They're just so realistic and you can relate to them, the different topics they talk about.
One of my favorite movies is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I love that movie, and yeah, it's a great movie.
I'm not actually a comic book reader, but I love the Marvel comic movies. I will sit there for hours watching any kind of Marvel comic movie. If it says Marvel and it's a movie, I'm watching it. Especially movies like X-Men. I love all X-Men, Spider-Man, and the Fantastic Four. That was awesome.
Some good movies right there.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Danielle. I have so many favorite movies. It changes. I'll see a movie at the movie theater and be like, oh, favorite movie. But one movie that's been a constant since my childhood is Aladdin. I still love that movie. I'll still watch it at my friend's house. It's got great characters, great message, great storyline, and great songs.
Yeah, I love every kind of movie from horror to the old time movies, and I guess we can always say that movies have definitely changed over the years. In fact, the Lumiere brothers projected the very first motion pictures in France in the late 19th century.
Each black and white film had a running time of less than 1 minute.
And they were of everyday scenes, workers leaving a factory or a baby being fed.
Today, we refer to these films as mini documentaries.
The experience of watching real life projected on a wall of a cafe made the Lumiere brothers an overnight sensation.
Now, a little over 100 years later, movies are made in every single genre and style.
Available on the 24-screen Megaplex or at home on demand.
With so many choices, it's easy to develop preferences for movie viewing.
It could be based on a personal interest or maybe how we feel emotionally at that time.
What types of movies do you enjoy watching?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
I'm a very diverse person, so everything from a comedy I like to watch to horror, and I like also movies that are inspired by true events.
I guess comedy and war movies are my favorite.
I like comedy and scary ones.
I like dramas and comedies.
I just like comedies, basically. Comedy.
I like funny and like horror movies mostly.
Not much comedy, but I really like violent films, but not, like good movies, not like stupid movies.
I mostly like action or comedy because I like to laugh, and love stories are really good too.
I love romantic movies.
Not chick flicks, but like, half funny, half like romantic, you know what I mean? But like, I like the action movies too.
Kind of stay away from like the jolty, scary movies. I don't like those. I don't like when things pop out at me.
I'm more sports and action. I mean, if I'm with my girl side, I might go to the romantic side, but mostly it's action and sports.
I'm not a picky chooser for movies. As long as they got a little action, I'm good with it. I also like romances sometimes when I'm chilling with a girl.
Comedy, dramas, romantic.
I really like all kinds of movies, scary. I love romance movies, a little bit of action.
You know, when I was little, I used to be tortured with scary movies, and I was so afraid of them. But now that I'm older and I've gone to see a lot more scary movies, I just love them. I love the little thrill it gives you and never knowing what to expect.
Yeah, I hate scary movies. I like Scream in the movie theater, embarrassing. I love comedies and chick flicks. Nobody likes to see chick flicks with me, but I'm always like, oh, that's so cute, every time I see a movie.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. A lot of times I want to go see a movie and everyone else is like, you want to go see that? And no one wants to go with me sometimes. Well, let's meet our Spotlight guest, Jordan, who will share with us some of her favorite films.
Let's hear her now.
I think people love to watch movies because they like to see a different fantasy world, or they like to see something from a different point of view, get a different storyline, and just get a new take on different ideas. I like to watch funny movies. I like comedies. I also like movies that are inspiring, that show what life values, life lessons. I love sports movies, and I also like movies that show people overcoming obstacles, and that no matter what, if you believe in yourself, you can achieve your goals. Some of my favorite movies are The Great Debaters, Ruby Bridges, and they're both good movies that move me spiritually, they inspire me, and they encourage other people to go out and do good in the world. The Great Debaters it's based on a true story, and it's about a group of kids who come together and they form a debate team. Some of them are forced to be on the team, some of them are really into this debating thing, and they have to break down racial barriers, and they have to fight for what they believe in to prove to people that they are as good as other schools and that they can compete against top-notch debate teams. And Ruby Bridges is about a young girl, it's also based on a true story, who takes a test, and she's invited to go into a school. At the time it's segregation, civil rights movement, and she's invited to go to the school where it's a predominantly white school, and the students and the teachers don't accept her because of her skin. She's African American, and she has to break down barriers, and she has to fight, and every day she has to go to school and live this fear, but still keep her head up high. And they inspire me personally because I feel like if this person can overcome something, then I also can overcome it. Look at all the obstacles they went through. I can also overcome any obstacle that comes my way, and I can end up on top just like these people did in the movie.
I love The Great Debaters. That's such a good movie, such a good movie. I actually saw it with my grandpa, and he falls asleep during every movie that he's ever seen in theaters, but he stayed awake during that one, so that shows how good it was. It's just so inspirational that these group of kids came together, and like she said, they overcame barriers and obstacles, and everyone should see it. It's so good.
Ruby Bridges is also a great movie. It's a great movie about overcoming obstacles, because the little girl, she's about 6 or 7 years old, and every day when she walks into the school, there's a group of people who tormented her. One lady was holding a coffin and a doll in it with a noose around her neck, pretty much telling Ruby, if you keep coming back here, I'm gonna kill you. And despite those obstacles and those tormentors, she still went to the school.
Yeah, Ruby Bridges is a great movie. One of the most intense part of the movies for me is when she's walking to school for the first time by herself, and there are these mobs of people, and they all hate her, and she doesn't understand why. She doesn't know what she's done wrong.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie, but the way that you, Nijama, and Jordan described it, I really think I want to go see it now. It kind of sounds really good.
Some films are epic and constantly end up on the list of the greatest movies ever made.
Many of them weave in themes of faith and religion.
Movies like It's a Wonderful Life, Gandhi, and Schindler's List are just some of the films selected by the Vatican as exemplary achievements in art, religion, and values.
They draw on the universal stories of exclusion, suffering, rising from despair,
leadership, changing the world under adverse circumstances, and the vital importance of community.
Maybe some of these films have a savior figure, reminiscent of Jesus, or an evil character that represents temptation.
Next, we asked the teens on the street if there are any movies with inspiring or religious themes that moved them.
Here's what they had to say.
Are there any movies with inspiring or religious themes which really moved you?
Definitely 8 Mile. In the movie, he's, being dissed so much. No one likes him, but he keeps his head up.
Diary of a Bad Black Woman. Her husband abused her and everything, but she still, when he got hurt, she still went to his side and helped him and made him get better. I think that takes a lot of faith and courage.
I know there's some, but I can't think of them.
Are there any movies with inspiring or religious themes which really moved you?
Not really. I don't really like to watch those. Not really.
Same here. No, I don't really watch religious movies. Sorry.
There's a lot of movies that inspire me, like I'm an artist or whatever, just inspire me to get my art game up. I used to break dance too when I was 16, but I used to watch movies to help me out and stuff like that.
He got game. The boy lost his mother. His father went to jail, and he did everything on his own. He stayed with his grandparents like that. And I said it's almost like my life because the same thing happened to me. That inspired me a lot. So when I look at that movie, I just think it's like that's me. I'm gonna be just like that.
The movie that moved me was The Passion of Christ.
Oh, that would have to be Passion of the Christ. It really moved me. I didn't really know what they said, and I can't read subtitles that fast, so that would have been great if they spoke English. But it was just a great way of looking at what probably happened back then.
I think one of my favorite religious themed movies is Narnia. There's so many little subtle things that a lot of people might not notice, but if you really look into it, you can really just find a lot of hidden meanings and stuff. So what about you guys? What's your favorite religious themed movie?
Going off of what you said, Matt, I absolutely love The Chronicles of Narnia. And as you said, there are a lot of subtle messages, but there's also a lot of deep symbolism there. And one of my favorite scenes of this movie is when Aslan takes Edmund up on the mountain and they're talking about what Edmund had done and had betrayed his family. And just that great forgiveness that God has as Aslan is the God figure in that movie.
One of my favorite movies is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. And I watched that in school last year, and we read the book, and the book was great, and then we saw a movie, and it made everything a little bit more clearer, and I just love the movie. It had a really great effect on my heart and stuff. So.
Yeah, I do think that movie is actually a great way to get an idea of, well, in a simplistic way, of what different people view heaven to be like. And I think that it helps you to see a lot of things that you wouldn't see, just about good deeds in life.
Another good movie, Dead Man Walking. There's a killer in prison, and a nun comes to help him realize what he did and ask for forgiveness and ask for God's forgiveness. And so interesting and amazing just watching this character develop throughout the whole film and finally asking God for forgiveness and asking for forgiveness for the family that he killed.
Going along with the street said, the movie The Passion, I love the movie. Every Easter we take it out, all of Good Friday we watch the movie 3 times through. And it's such a deep message throughout the movie. And as well as The Passion, there's Facing the Giants. It's this movie about this football coach. He comes to the high school and he teaches all these kids, there's something more to life. There's Jesus Christ and he came to save us. And they end up praying before all their games. And they now, after their football season, they have something to live for. There's something more.
I know my favorite religious themed movie is A Walk to Remember. It's a beautiful love story about a girl who teaches a boy that he can change for the better. She helps him develop his faith. It's a great story.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. My favorite aspect of the movie is the main character, Jamie. She actually has cancer, but she truly believes that it's in her plan and God planned that for her, and no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome, that she's in good hands because of her strong religious faith.
Movies can be a great instrument in showing how the teachings of the gospel are relevant in our lives today.
They can be inspiring to both Christians and non-Christians alike, and an excellent way to promote discussion and introduce others to faith.
Let's go back to our spotlight guest, Jordan, while she'll share with us how religious-based films can inspire others.
She'll also share some of her spiritual movies that have touched her.
People go to the movies to see a good story, and if they see how a person can be like Christ, they can say, wow, look at this person. It kind of reminds me of the story that I read in the Bible. An example of a good movie is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because it's very symbolic. The lion, how he was killed and they crucified him like they did Jesus, and then he rose from the dead, he came back, and he was able to, save the king. And then you had the witch, who was the evil person who was kind of like the devil in the Garden of Eden, who tried to control everything and get people to conform to her ways. And the lion was how Jesus was telling people, go on the right path, stay on the right track. The Great Debaters and Ruby Bridges, definitely. I keep going back to these movies because they're both very inspiring. Both movies make me connect with God in a special way because they're both how Christ broke down barriers when he was crucified, and how people didn't like how he looked and what religion he was, what he stood for. They didn't believe in him. And both of these movies, all of the children go forth and they break down barriers just like Christ did. I have seen some of the Passion of the Christ, and that was a very inspiring movie because you see the pain and suffering that God went through just to save our sins. And then you look at yourself and sometimes say, how can I not pray to God, or how can some people not turn to God for help when he went through all of this for us? I think it's important for people to see movies like this, even if you're not a believer, to see what other people believe, and if you are a Christian and if you do believe in God, to get in touch with your religious side.
There are so many movies out there now, like the commercial movies, like Spider-Man, Batman. I know I just saw Batman: The Dark Knight, and it had like a really good message, that you could find in the Bible. It was all about having faith in the good of people and having faith in others. It was great.
Well, on Spider-Man 2, I went on this retreat, and they basically showed you a clip of Spider-Man. It was how, do you know how, like, Jesus put his hands out on the cross and got nailed to the cross? It was how Spider-Man, when he was trying to hold back the train, he kept throwing his arms out, and at the end, he ended up straight across, as like Jesus did, just put all his might out there and did whatever he could for those people. So,
I know for me, I really love The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith and his son. It's a really good movie because it's really, really inspiring, and it's based on a true story about how Will Smith in the movie changed his life around, and he did it all for his son. And then he went to help other people who were in his situation, like homeless or hungry, and those are all things that you can find in the Bible, helping out people who are in need.
Another movie that I really like is John Q with Denzel Washington. This movie, his son has a heart condition. He passes out on a baseball field, and what happens is they don't have the insurance money to afford the surgery. So unfortunately, the main character holds up the hospital and forces them to perform the surgery for his son. But the thing is, it's not really about the misdeed that he performed. It's about his love for his son. It's just completely altruistic to know that even though he might go to jail for the rest of his life for what he did, he's still saving his son's life. And that's what Jesus did for us. He died for us. And this character was willing to die for his son or to lose his life.
Movies certainly are a powerful vehicle for storytelling that can help us along our faith journey in new and exciting ways.
However, finding Christian messages on the silver screen isn't always easy.
And with the increasing amount of over-the-top violence, profanity, and gratuitous sexuality in today's Hollywood movies, sometimes finding that message isn't even possible.
So does your faith help when deciding which movies you should watch?
That's what we asked the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
Does your faith help you when it comes to deciding on which movies you will watch?
Yes.
No. Why?
I don't know, I just don't really think about it if I'm watching a movie.
No. Not all the time.
I just, whatever I feel like watching, that's what I'm watching.
No, I just pick whatever I think is gonna be good and I watch it. I can't lie. I go to church all the time, but I still I went to see Sex and the City last week. I don't know if it's a reflection upon my faith or not, but that's just how I am.
Whatever's playing is playing. I'm gonna watch it.
No, I actually go by the previews and trailers.
I think what helps me the most is imdb.com, where I can find ratings and Yahoo Movies.
Well, I stay away from like those crazy movies, but yeah, I guess in a sense.
Well, yeah, like I'm not gonna go and see things that I shouldn't be seeing just because then I'd have even more on my slate for when I pray to get wiped off, and not a good thing.
If I'm making a quick decision, sometimes no, but if I sit and think about it and think about my morals and everything, and then yes, it does.
How do you guys go about choosing what movies you want to see? Does God play a role in that?
I don't actually think that it's a matter of the direct movie when I'm looking at the newspaper to see what movies are playing. I think it's more of God helping me mold the person I am, and that's the choices I make. But when it comes down to a media perspective, I'm going to be honest, one of the teams on the street brought up International Movie Database. I live on that site. That is how I know what actors or what movies and what movies to watch. It's how I make my movie decisions.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, I do think that faith can help us because the Monitor, our Catholic newspaper, I look to see what, like, they always talk about little movie highlight, and I look to see that, and it really kind of just like, oh wow, this looks interesting. Like something I might not have thought would be a good, like, Catholic movie, and it is really good for me to see that.
You know, going off of that, lifeteen.com puts out a movie review for all the latest movies that are coming out. So sometimes I'll listen to that to see what they have to say, because they, you know, the guy knows what to look for, what teens are interested in. So when he evaluates it, you know, it's from a teen standpoint.
I usually look in the newspapers to see what the newspaper gave it. And I usually check out a bunch of different ones just to see how many stars it got or something. But God usually doesn't have an effect in it. He usually helps in choosing what to do, like what to take out of the movie. Like if I see like this violent movie, he usually helps me decide not to use that violence in life. So.
I was just gonna say that. My grandpa always says, as long as you see the movie and you know not to act that way, it's okay. And like through our strong faith, we have faith that yes, we're gonna see this movie, we're open to all this media, but we know what to filter through and what to use and how to like take the lessons from the movie.
Well, for me, I subconsciously choose a movie. Like I know I want to watch the movie, and like that God figure he's there in my mind. Like I know that, but it doesn't actively help me choose a movie. So.
Finally, Jordan shares with us how her faith helps her decide on what movies to watch.
And how she would like to see more modern movies deal with the stories from the Bible.
My faith does play an impact because I do like to watch movies that are age appropriate, that are not inappropriate scenes. They have ratings out there for you that you can check into before you watch the movie. And because of my faith, I do, preview a movie before I go and see it. I don't want to watch something that is against what I believe, and if it is against what I believe, I don't feel comfortable watching the movie, and I don't feel like I should, take part in watching a movie like this, because then it's almost like I'm agreeing with whoever directed the movie and whoever wrote the script of the movie. For example, the Da Vinci Code, the Christian faith wasn't really pro this movie because of how it looked at Christ and the story behind it and how it changed what the Bible said. I would encourage movie producers to go out and create movies where the good person wins over evil, because it does inspire people and people can relate to those type of movies. I haven't seen movies that were strictly religious, but I would like to see more movies, especially modern movies. People come out with Bible stories and parables and stories about the gospel.
I'd love to see more books become movies, because I just love to see how the filmmakers interpret it. Like Harry Potter, when they decided that they were going to make that into a movie, I was just so excited, because it was one of my favorite books,
I agree with you, Matt. I just hope that if they're going to do that, they don't totally ruin the book and take all this stuff out of it.
I like to see more true stories, like The Pursuit of Happiness or The Great Debaters, stuff like that that's inspirational and it actually happened. It gives you hope.
I like to see more coming-of-age films where the characters develop and understand that the values and virtues can help them through life.
I actually agree with Jordan. I think it'd be really interesting to see a director's spin on parables from the Bible. For instance, if you take Godspell into account, Godspell was a great, for that time, modern version of the parables of Christ.
The Prodigal Son is a great thing, and I would love to see that as a movie. Just it would be amazing. It would really be amazing to see how it would come out.
You know, Jesus was able to offer us so many parables that in his time were modern day, and it'd be nice to see them revisited and maybe made modern for today's time.
Like you said, that's what Jesus did. He put it in terms that people understand. So when we go see movies and there's a modern spin on it, more people will be able to understand the parables in the Bible. Filmmakers have been given an extraordinary gift through the motion picture camera.
They have the ability to immerse their audiences into worlds born of their imagination.
And with digital effects, create realities where literally anything is possible.
In the movie Spider-Man, Peter's Uncle Ben told him, "With great power comes great responsibility."
The next generation of filmmakers also have a responsibility to their audiences.
To make movies that promote moral decision-making and human dignity.
And not just turn a profit at the box office.
Does your faith have anything to do with the way you watch movies?
We'd like to know. Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at 609-406-7402.
And we'll leave you today with this final thought.
Helen Keller wrote that the best and most beautiful things cannot be seen or even touched.
They must be felt with the heart.
So look for the movies that move you and inspire us all to be better human beings.
Movies that speak to our hearts.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.